welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC, and today we're going to be talking anime. That's right, we're bringing anime back to the channel again. We tried doing a, big anime podcast, but that wasn't doing so hot. So I thought, why don't we pick 3 big anime that are going on right now, and we'll talk about them in kind of batches. And today we're going to discuss Chainsaw Man, episodes 1 through 3, which have been subbed. So we're going to start there. I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I am more of a dub watcher, but I can do sub when I really want to. I'm a huge fan of the Chainsaw Man manga. I've read it all the way up to its current issues, or I guess chapters, what they call them. It's just manga's technically, it's a whole thing. Anyway, well, Kevin here is aware of Chainsaw Man, but never read the manga, and is now just watching the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the time of this, we're currently at episode 3. If you have not watched up to episode 3, I do apologize, but we're going to kind of run down episodes 1 through 3. So let's kick it off. Since I know where this is going, Kevin, I want to get your opinion on this initial start. Learning who Denji is, being a part of the public safety office, and then meeting Power. How do you feel about these 3 big moments right now?
Okay, there's a lot to kind of unpack here. Okay.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. Let's just start at the discovery of the devils. Yeah.
So when I started watching, it was like, okay, I see the kind of vibe they're going for. The colors are muted. It's a lot, nothing's vibrant. It feels, especially with the first episode, they paint him to be, just literally like a slave to the mafia, basically. And his life is terrible. And they do a pretty good job at making you, I don't necessarily want to say care for the character, but because it goes so quick, they give you amount of time to kind of
right,
see what he's dealing with. And by the end that his life is crap and it's not normal, right? He's not living this normal life.
The whole point is so that we understand how far down he was. So we kind of understand the weird attachment he gets to things moving forward, which is a point even my wife has been like, wait, that's his motivation? But you just so you understand why he would be so attached to very simple things.
Mm-hmm. So that was good. I kind of like that. They kind of took it a little overboard, just a tiny bit. I forget what it was. And it's like they're just stacking. They're like sad stacking is what I like to call it. Yeah. Is where it's like, okay, we're going to make sure that he's real sad and you should be sad for him. But
the Puchita thing alone, you're like, he's got this dog with a chainsaw. Oh no, the dog is dead.
It's like, oh yeah, that happened in the first episode.
That was the first episode because the first episode ends with him ripping the cord and Makima showing up. Really? So he turns into Chainsaw Man the first time, kills all the zombies, and Makima shows up.
I thought that was episode 2 because at the episode 1 he's like in the dumpster. I thought.
No. Episode 1 ends with the battle of Makima showing up. Episode 2 is Makima then giving him food and kind of inviting him along, getting him clothing.
I remember that one.
Bringing him along and meeting I forget the other guy's name because I always get their names mixed up. But
and they got a lot of work done in episode 1.
They did. Episode 1 got a lot of work done. It moved pretty quickly. Episode 2 was him and that guy kicking each other in the balls, which I found is still funny. Just hit him in the balls. It's the way to go.
He's like, if you're a man, I'm going to kick you in the balls. It's like, okay.
I remember when I was a kid, that was my mentality too. If I ever get in a fight, why would I go, just kick him in the balls? Like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. That's his, it kind of shows you a bit of his character though, which is his character is way different than a normal character because he cares about nothing, right? Because
that's exactly. Kind of the point. He does care about nothing. And that's why the second episode hit so hard because Makima's showing him kindness, which he's not used to. That was the whole part of that first episode where we understand why he would kind of be stuck to her like a dog, which is what they show him in the intro. You know what I mean? Like he's literally getting walked like a dog.
Yeah.
And then and that one ends with Power introducing and then ignoring him, jumping off the roof and smashing the first devil.
Yeah, I remember where that ended. Yeah.
And then the second one picks up with them being reprimanded, and then Power, I guess, turns on him to convince them to go to the Bat Devil. So
yeah, I that one was okay. So before I get ahead of myself,
okay.
For episode 1, I wasn't sure where it was going to go for a while. Like they really
I remember you were giving me those very hesitant. I'm like, "Are you watching Chainsaw Man?" And you're like, "Yeah."
I was just like, okay, what are they gonna do with it? And then, they just, they sad stacked a little bit right up to the end, and then they sad stacked just one more time with Pochita, and then they're like, okay, we're done with the sad stuff for a little bit. And then it was just like, okay, now it's time for revenge, which was really cool. I thought that was pretty sweet at the end. And the end of that first episode, though, where they walk in and he's just standing there in the back of the room, just like tired as all heck, blood all over him, dead bodies everywhere. It was cool. I don't know. I liked how definitely the first episode was a real banger. Like, it was a real good, well put together episode.
The one of the things I really enjoy about the Chainsaw Man series in general is just they're not skimping on the action. When they finally go down with it, I believe this one's done by Mappa. I think that's the one making this one. But when they really go into the action, it just feels so like raw and crazy, and he's bouncing all over the place. We get to see him spinning because they could easily cut their budget there if they really wanted to,
Yeah, the second episode was more like really setting up for the relationships of like the characters. Like, they're really trying to set, like, okay, they're introducing you to like 4 characters right away, and they want you to kind of get to know them. So there wasn't a ton of action, but there was a little bit of comedy, which you were talking about, where they were kicking each other in the nuts and everything.
Yeah, Power's overall reaction to everything is awesome because, the whole idea of the show, at least the way I took it from reading through the manga, is all about what are you willing to do? Like, it's all about reaching into our humanity and what is the thing that is going to bring you happiness? Because we've already gotten to that point. I think it was the second episode where the other guy, I wish I could remember their proper names, but I'm not going to go into why I never remember the names, but there's a reason. So
they're Japanese and they don't really make a lot of sense sometimes.
And they did a really good job in the manga of making them all distinctly feature change. Like, this guy's got a scar here, this girl's got a scar like this. So you only get to know certain characters really, really super well. Otherwise, this is that guy with the scar. But he brought up, like, why is everyone a part of the public safety committee or organization, whichever one they want to do? And they've all got a reason and a purpose, and Denji doesn't. Denji just is willing to go with whoever's going to treat him nice, like a dog. Denji's motivations are so basic. That's like the point behind him, that you just give him a treat and he's willing to do whatever you want. And then we got like Power, who her motivation is she just wants to save the one creature that she was taking care of. And like, so the whole show is based around what is the character's motivation about what makes us human and what makes us separate. What's the difference between a devil, a fiend, and a human, and things like that. So that's how I took it. And as the show goes on, you're going to see a lot more. But that brings us to what my wife's major complaint right now is how over the top Denji is about his first major motivation past. Now I have food. Now I have, I have food. I have people who care about me. What's next? I want to cop a feel. Which was really hilarious in episode 3, where he's just yelling at the Bat Demon, like, you took my boot. You took him from me. I'm trying to cop a feel. And he's just swinging around, chopping everything up.
Yeah. The thing with that too is just like, that second episode, like, they touch on that, because the character you were talking about, he's just like, well, why don't you care about anything? He's like, but you can already see that, like, he's trying to figure out why, and like there's a couple times in there where they do like a close up on his eyes where he's like thinking, like, oh well, after they did the whole back and forth beating the crap out of each other thing. But that was cool because like there's another scene later on, I think it's in episode 3, where he's like asking the pink-haired girl, I can't remember her name.
So there's pink-haired girl, she's Makima, and then there's Horns, that's Power. They're two very important
I remember
characters from
Power
beginning
because
to
that
end,
one's pretty easy. Because I just got done watching that third episode. So
yeah, and she's very prominent in that third episode.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I think it was the third episode when she tells him about the whole cat thing, and it's just like there's like this inner monologue that he had. There's just this inner thought process that he has, and he's just like, and you ask him to do anything, and as long as it's in his interest, he'll do it. It's just
and And that's a running theme that Denji has moving forward throughout the entire series, is that his motivations do shift as he accomplishes minor goals, and then it just shifts to another minor goal. And since they're minor goals, everything they're asking him to do lines up so well with that. So he's just constantly willing to do whatever's needed. It's interesting as the manga went on to see how the characters all developed around Denji, whose goals always remained so basic, and he was such just a kid with his mentality. But everyone else got far more interesting as things were going, and then, Denji's just Chainsaw Man, so he just shows up and revs and goes crazy. Where we're at now, because this is the standard rule with anime back when I was a kid, you watched the first 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. Are you interested, or are you not interested in Chainsaw Man moving forward at this point?
Well, 3rd episode was pretty good. The whole power incident where she brings him to the bat guy.
Yeah.
And, I kind of figured that it would kind of go in that direction. But, like, when they get inside the house, and all that stuff happens.
Right.
And then some more stuff happens. And you're just like, oh, all right, this is happening. And then...
Right. They get into the home. Bat Devil reveals that this was all a trick. Power reveals what she had tried to do. This is a spoiler episode. We're talking about the episode that came out.
Can I talk about the spoilers then? Okay.
Yeah.
He picks this woman's cat up, eats the cat, and then picks the woman up, and then eats the woman. Yeah. I was like, okay, all right, where are we going with this? Is he gonna, And it's like, okay, I kind of have a figure that he's just gonna like cut up the demon, and she's gonna come out later. That hasn't happened yet. But
no, it ends with him defeating the Bat Devil.
Yeah.
And then it just lands with an epic pose.
It was just a moment where I was like, okay, I kind of saw this coming. And then it's like, okay, I didn't see that coming though.
Where he eats power? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Where do you think the show's going to go? Me knowing is interesting because you don't have any idea where we're going next. I'm curious what your theory is. Because at this point, you can already tell it's not going in general directions like I've seen with a lot of the anime and manga.
Well, I heard them talk about other nations, so maybe there's apparently, maybe there'll be some other problems later on. I don't know. They were talking about military. I don't know if that has anything
military
to do.
use for things. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, something to do with fighting other countries or something, maybe.
See, I'm not going to confirm or deny. What I want to see is if we keep talking about Chainsaw Man on a regular basis, and this becomes a thing we do on the channel, I want to see as your theories progress where we end up going.
Yeah. It's probably going to change 100 times, I would imagine. It's like, is that a context clue? I don't know. We're going to come up with some weird theory about it.
I so want to spoil things too, but I don't, because the reveals are just incredible. I remember reading the manga and certain things were happening. There's a buddy of mine who was reading it with me and just being like, what?
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned that. So I was like looking at comparisons between the manga and like the show.
Yeah.
There was a scene I saw of Power, like when she came down with the hammer in episode 2 and splatted the big devil into like pieces and on the ground and everything, and she's like looking up and screaming in the sky. I saw that in the manga.
Line is "I am power" or something like that.
She like the difference between like that scene in the show, like they put so much detail into the show. Like,
oh yeah,
like in the manga, you had like, you could see like pieces of stuff on the ground, and it was more of a character, like her character. But in the show, it was just like so much detail. Like they really spend a lot of time putting a lot of detail, more detail than was in the manga.
I'm enjoying that. It's actually the style of the guy who draws up the manga. His style is I love the manga, for the record, but as someone who reads a lot of comics and a lot of manga, his style gets a little confusing at times whenever he's trying to do crazy action, because he's always trying to show you the action almost like it's an anime, which loses a couple things in there for me sometimes. It's a little difficult. Some of the later fights of Chainsaw Man on the manga, it did get to the point where I'm like, I think he's winning. Oh, he won.
A little unrelated, but it's kind of like with Bleach, right? With Bleach, when the manga, they wrote, there's a lot of white backgrounds. So like when you watch the show, it's like everything is there, and it's like, oh wow, this is crazy. So it's not as intense as Bleach was, because Bleach is a lot of white backgrounds, but there's a lot more detail that's in the show by obviously, but it's kind of surprised me how much more detail they put into the anime than what was in the manga.
I think you've really got to sell the detail with these fight sequences, because the show is at its core just an action anime with crazy fight sequences.
Yeah.
So it's not, that's what we need to see in the anime to make it work. And I think that map of the guys who were developing it probably saw that, and they were like, we really got to get these out there, because if we don't, then those softer moments aren't going to hit as well. Like the moment, going back to episode 3, the moment where Power is like just quietly explaining everything to Denji hits so much better when immediately following that Denji's just flying through the sky, ripping through everything, because you had that decompression lull going right into the over the top. What the hell is happening? How is he doing this? And the Bat Devil just being confused,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one thing I wanted to mention. I guess you said, like, where's the story going? They keep bringing up this idea that you can't be friends with devils.
Yes.
So I feel like we're gonna touch on that multiple times throughout the series, and Denji's probably just like, well, that's some weird stuff because I was, so
yeah, it's a running theme throughout, because they've already touched on the fact that Makima is trying to get this group to work with devils and fiends. So it's just a running theme in general of, can we trust them at all? Like,
it was very much prevalent in the 3rd episode, because she's like, she looks at him and she's like, I can't believe I can't believe you fell for that. It's like,
yes.
But that's Denji though, right? Like,
yeah, it's exactly. I mean, he'll fall for whatever. I mean, look how quickly he was convinced to go work with Power when all she said was, oh, you just want to cop a feel? How about I let you cop a feel on me? And he's like, we will save the cat!
Yeah, immediately. It's like, all right, we're going to kill that devil. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Well, they set the precedent there.
Yep.
And they continue to do it because it's like he's always just looking back at her.
Oh, yeah. He's always like, that's my prize.
It's a surprise. Well, at least they didn't go like where he's just doing it like randomly, because then it would be like a little weird.
No, it's not Konosuba. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's like at least get consent first.
But all right, that's our opinions on the first episode of Chainsaw Man, and us trying to review some more anime episodes. If you guys enjoy this, stick around, because Kevin and Dan are going to attempt to talk about Bleach. Those will be the first 2 attempts at this. And if you like this and want to see our weekly opinions, or at least us lumping in multiple episodes, let us know. We'll be filming these. Thank you so much for your continued support right here at Absolutely Marvel and DC, and we will see you next time right here.